Hitler's Eagle's Nest. As a gift to Adolf Hitler for his 50th birthday, the Kielstein House, or Eagle's Nest, was commissioned by Martin Bormann in 1937 and completed just 13 months later. The small chalet rests on a ridge 1,820 meters above sea level and atop the Kielstein, which is a sub-peak of the Hoher Göll. Its location in Bavaria, which is a region in the south of Germany, is significant because Hitler's reported to have found inspiration from the surrounding scenic landscape. Supposedly, Hitler credited the area around Obersalzberg, which is a few miles up in the mountain from the market town of Berchtesgaden, with helping him find the inspiration to finish Mein Kampf. As the story goes, he rented a cabin in the area in the 1920s and completed his manifesto while looking out into Bavaria. As a native Austrian, Hitler's propagandists used his love of the Obersalzberg region to show how he was always a German at heart. Many people mistakenly believe that Obersalzberg and the Eagle's Nest are one and the same, but Obersalzberg may refer to any one of the 80 buildings that would come to be inhabited by high-ranking Nazi party members, and the Eagle's Nest refers to specifically the small chalet perched on the Kielstein. Obersalzberg. Before there was an Eagle's Nest, Hitler had another small chalet in Obersalzberg converted into a massive alpine farmhouse. Berghof, which means mountain court in English, was originally built in 1916 by a businessman named Otto Winter and used as a holiday home. By 1928, Otto had died and left behind his widow to look after the holiday home. Mrs. Winter rented the chalet, at this time called Haus Wachenfeld, to Hitler and eventually sold him the property just 5 years later in 1933. Hitler was able to purchase the Winter's holiday home with the money he had made from selling Mein Kampf. Shortly thereafter, Hitler greatly expanded the building and completely refurbished its interior with the help of architect Alwad Dagano. Martin Bormann, who would later build Eagle's Nest, acted as Dagano's supervisor during this time and helped him to transform Haus Wachenfeld into Berghof. Hitler loved Berghof so much that when he told Homes and Gardens magazine in 1938, "This place is mine, I built it with money that I earned," he did so with a large grin across his face. Indeed, the structure was impressive, with an entrance hall displaying various cactus plants and majolica pots, a Sembra pine panel dining room, a large study with a library area filled with countless books, German furniture, and a red marble mantelpiece on top of the fireplace in the great room. Interestingly, there was also space in the home for a media room, and a projector was available to show many Hollywood films such as Mickey Mouse during late-night screenings. By 1936, the image of Adolf Hitler sauntering around Obersalzberg, surrounded by breathtaking beauty as he received gifts from children or conversed with local farmers, was made popular by photographs in the German media. Soon, other leaders in the Nazi Party flocked to the location to establish their own vacation homes. Here, many buildings sprang up, and the area was eventually fenced off from the public. In the mid-1930s, the area had become a tourist attraction, and many people waited around to try to get a glimpse of Hitler outside. Unknown to many, an extensive underground bunker system was built under Obersalzberg and became ground zero for planning the upcoming German offensive in World War II. It was at Berghof that Hitler would spend almost a third of his time as Chancellor and used the space as a place to entertain world leaders and later as a last holdout when the Allies were closing in. From his Berghof retreat, Hitler would have been under the shadow of Eagle's Nest, a place of great importance, but one which he rarely visited. Eagle's Nest. Adolf Hitler was afraid of heights, something which would stand in the way of his ability to enjoy Eagle's Nest. In all, the leader of the Third Reich would only visit Eagle's Nest 14 times in his lifetime. There were no beds at Eagle's Nest, so it's slightly mistaken to think of the chalet as an actual domicile. Instead, Nazi officials often met diplomats and hosted events at the mountainside retreat. Perhaps what's most impressive about the Eagle's Nest is the drive up to the chalet. A 4-meter or 13-foot road climbs over 800 meters or 2,600 feet over the distance of about 4 miles and takes visitors through 5 tunnels, one of which is 124 meters, and one switchback so severe that oncoming traffic has to either reverse backward or complete a 180-degree turn. All along the drive, gorgeous views of Lake Königssee and the surrounding mountainside build the atmosphere before guests are finally brought to a lift, which brings them directly into the building. Construction of this road alone cost 30 million Reichsmarks, which would be roughly 247 million US dollars today. Entering the lift to the Eagle's Nest, guests can enjoy the spacious elevator, which features polished brass, Venetian mirrors, and striking green leather. Despite all these features, Hitler was afraid to use the elevator entrance and often worried that a lightning strike would hit the winch mechanism on the roof. Exiting the elevator, one will find themselves in the main reception room. A fireplace made of red Italian marble, which was a gift by Benito Mussolini, dominates the space, and some may notice that the floors are heated. These heated floors are original and were made possible by an MAN submarine diesel engine and electrical generator housed in an underground chamber by the front entrance. Another unusual aspect of this house is the all-electric appliance kitchen, which was rare for a home in 1937. However, no food was actually cooked in the kitchen. Instead, meals were prepared in town and transported up the mountain to Eagle's Nest, where they would be reheated and served. The name Eagle's Nest was given to the structure by a French ambassador named André-François Poncet, who recalled later of his time at the chalet as enlightening into the Nazi Party and was startled at how quickly Hitler had come to power. The name stuck, and many now remember Kielstein House as Eagle's Nest. It's also remembered for primarily being a place of reception and even a few weddings. Hitler once remarked that it offered him an excellent opportunity to amaze visitors with German engineering and to entertain the most important guests. Eagle's Nest captured. Although an April bombing run by Britain's Royal Air Force would level much of Obersalzberg in 1945, the small chalet survived the bombs and remains a tourist attraction today. Allied forces captured the structure in early May of 1945 and used it as a military command post until 1960, when it was returned to the Bavarian government. The capturing of Eagle's Nest is a historic moment in the events of World War II, with different Allied countries each maintaining that they were the first to arrive and capture the town. Some believe that the soldiers from the American 3rd Infantry Division were the first to reach Eagle's Nest. However, Hermann Louis Fennell, who was in the 3rd Infantry Division, clarified in an interview that his regiment entered Berghof and only made it to the elevator of Eagle's Nest. This is an important distinction. As previously mentioned, Eagle's Nest was part of Obersalzberg, not synonymous with it. Capturing the small chalet atop the Kielstein was a prize among all Allied countries, and being the first to it would mean acknowledgement in the history books for generations to come. As such, both the American 101st Airborne and French 2nd Armored Division also claim to have been the first to Eagle's Nest. Eagle's Nest today. Today, one can still enjoy the drive up to the elevator, although the road is no longer private and one must either walk or take the bus transportation. A restaurant at the top offers stunning views of the surrounding mountain ranges. There are, however, little in the way of artifacts, and the bunker system left behind at Obersalzberg offers much more in terms of historical substance. Nevertheless, Eagle's Nest remains a very popular spot as it was left untouched even after the German government blew up what was left of Obersalzberg following their defeat in World War II.